Hey, Dr. Film here, and yes, I'm qualified to have that name. Before we begin, you should know that this review will contain no spoilers. And you should also know that the movie I'm reviewing is rated R, so viewer discretion is advised. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe for reviews and more. And so, without further ado, let's begin reviewing Killers of the Flower Moon.
Cast and characters.
Okay, without making this segment too long, especially when you consider the many famous actors in this movie, all I can say is that each and every one of these actors was well cast, and they performed their parts so well. Leo DiCaprio did so well playing Ernest Buckhart, Robert De Niro gave a chilling performance as William King Hale, and even Brendan Fraser did so well playing as Hale's attorney, despite the small screen time he had in this movie. But the one actress who stands out from the rest of them is Lily Gladstone, playing as Ernest's wife, Molly. And let me tell you, man, her performance in this movie was so freaking astonishing. How come I never heard of this actress before this movie came out? In fact, it turns out that Martin Scorsese sent a Gmail to Lily Gladstone, and this was during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So yeah, I was registering for the class. I had my credit card out, typing in for at the community college nearby for a data analytics course, and then had the little drop down that Marty wanted to Skype with me, or not Skype, Zoom, I guess, is the COVID era. And this was funny. Nobody planned it this way, nobody intended it, and this is kind of the most magic part of it. I was offered the role officially on Molly Burkhart's birthday.
Wow.
December 1st.
Wow.
And I asked later, they didn't do that intentionally.
Wow.
So.
And man, was Scorsese right to cast her in this movie.
What was that?
Shomikasi. That's how you are.
I don't know what she said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Suspense and thriller.
Trust me, once you get into this movie, you would find yourselves engaged and captivated by the ongoing murders and violence that happens in Osage County. You would be on the edge of your seats waiting to see what happens next. Now, it's fair to keep in mind that this film isn't exactly what you call an action flick. But boy, when it gets down to the violence, this film perfectly depicts the horrors and grittiness of the Osage murders. There was not one moment in this film that was too over the top or overly dramatic. And I swear, there are moments during this film where I go like,
Cinematography and story.
Now, the cinematography was definitely at its peak. The filmmakers did so well capturing the realism and the grittiness, and they did so well capturing some unnerving images that you can't unsee. Now for the story. Now, for those who don't know, the story takes place in the 1920s, where members of the Osage Native American tribe are finding their community members killed one by one, ever since they discovered and profited oil in their land. And trust me when I say this, just when you think you know how the story is going to go, based on the trailers you've seen, you don't. Neither did I. I was completely astounded by how well the story was written. It's not your typical whodunit story. No, it is a complex story that tackles thematic topics, such as greed, deception, cruelty, wickedness, you name it. I mean, sure, these are the kinds of themes that you've seen before in other movies, but keep in mind, this story is based on a very dark chapter from the past, a time where these ideas and themes are truly emphasized in this movie. And the more you think about it, you would find yourself scared to realize that history has repeated itself again, especially when you consider what's happening in today's world now. And I also have to say, the pacing in this movie was surprisingly well balanced. You gotta give it to the editor for achieving this impossible task. Thelma Schoonmaker, you deserve a raise. Hands down, a fantastic job. Overall, my friends, this movie is one of the best I've seen this year. Heck, I might even say that this movie is right next to Oppenheimer, at least in my opinion. Honestly, you guys, before I went to see this movie in theaters, I was expecting this film to be good. But no, this movie was nowhere near good. Heck, it's not even great. It's not even awesome. This movie was a jaw-dropping, cold, nerve-wracking experience that was definitely worth my time. And trust me when I say this, once you get into this movie, you wouldn't even care about this film's runtime, because you would be invested in the characters, the performances, the cinematography, and the chilling story of the Osage murders. And honestly, I can't think of anything that was wrong with this movie. It was just well put together. Now granted, this film is not the first motion picture about the Osage murders. There have been movies in the past that focused on the murders. And the weird thing is, I never even heard of these previous movies before I watched this movie. And that's saying something. So overall, I'm glad Martin Scorsese was able to finally produce this project. This project that he's been dying to create and produce for a long time. And I'm glad I watched it. And I do hope that this film gets the recognition it deserves. With all that said, I give Killers of the Flower Moon a 10 out of 10. Woo! That's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. And please follow me on Instagram for updates on my channel. And you can also follow me on TikTok for trailer reactions, funny videos, you name it. And as always, I will see you guys at our next appointment.
Next time on Dr. Film.
Tell me how to stop them.
You don't. It's too late. He's coming.